In this session, we're going to focus on how we dress for success. Now, remember, this entire webinar is about personal branding, and one of the ways in which our personal brand is consumed is reflected in the choices we make when we choose what to wear. Just think about it. A person who's conservative and who values conservatism is likely going to be dressed in a way that is very conservative. A person who values creativity is likely to dress in a way that is very creative. And so our choice of wardrobe has got a lot to do with the personal brand that we're putting out. Now, what we're going to focus on in this session is looking at how we choose to dress in an interview context and how we choose to dress at corporate events. These are just two contexts, of course, keeping in mind that how you dress will change across the different contexts that we find ourselves in life in general. So let's start off with the interview context. Before you even decide what you're going to wear to your interview, it's a very good idea for you to research the values of the company, to do a bit of research on the people who already work at that company and what the accepted attire is in that organization and in the industry. You might actually realize that if you think of the banking industry, for example, all bankers more or less look the same. Yes, there might be some creativity here and there because, of course, all our personal brands are different, but to a large extent, we can expect dark suits, white shirts, both for ladies and for men in the banking industry. And this would be completely different if you went to the advertising and marketing industry, where creativity is the most important value proposition. And this was where we might really see very authentic, creative, out-of-the-box dress choices. And this is reflective of the kind of work that the people do. And so make sure that you do your research and of the industry and the company that you're going into. Now, assuming that you've done your research, this also means that the next part that I'm going to talk about are just general guidelines and that they're not going to apply to every single type of work context or interview context. You still have to do your research. So let's start off with the ladies. If you are a lady and you're going into an interview context, the rule applies both to men and to women about wearing solid colors. This is the preference. Try to wear no more than 3 colors at most. 3 colors being a suit, which is dark and on the outside, a blouse or shirt on the inside, which is a lighter color or even bright, but certainly not as dark as your outer suit. And for your shoes, navy or black or even gray if that is an option. This is really important because how we appear in our interview context and depending on how we're dressed is also the way we sell credibility and trust. So try to make sure that your outer jacket and your skirt or your pants are dark and the inner color is either light or bright. This does not mean that you can't wear floral or printed materials. If you do that, ensure that your floral or your printed material is on the inside. This means that you're either wearing a floral dress or a printed shirt, and keep the dark and solid jacket on the outside. This creates a nice contrast that ensures that you come across as lively, but also quite serious about the task at hand. And this is quite important. Ladies, let's talk a little bit about the shoes. Do not wear 9-inch heels to an interview. These might really look great when you go out partying, but they do not communicate the right message in an interview context. You should preferably either wear kitten heels or 6-inch heels. These are more manageable and they allow you to be comfortable as well. And this is really important. Your comfort is very important. When it comes to accessories, try to keep your earrings very, very simple. You can either wear pearl earrings like I'm doing now, or simple diamonds or simple studs. Try your best to stay away from hooped earrings when you're going into an interview. Also remember to tie your hair back or keep it away from your face. When we show people our face, this generates trust because they feel that they can really look into our soul in inverted commas. If you have a hairstyle that covers your face, this not only can become an irritation for you as you keep moving it back, but also it creates a barrier of connection and resonance between you and the person that's interviewing you. Now let's get to the gents. If you're going for an interview, gents, again, 3 colors, no more than 3. If you're going to wear a dark suit, stick to simple colors like navy, black, or gray. Try to stay away from pinstripe suits on interview day. They can become distracting, so a solid color is best. If you're on your shirt, the best shirt to go with is a very solid white shirt, though you can also go with a light blue shirt, as well as any other color that is very light in color. Try to stay away from floral shirts in general if you're going for an interview. And then finally, for your shoes, you need to keep your shoes black or brown, and brown can be a dark brown as well as a light brown. Remember, your shoes and your belt must match. It's a simple, basic rule about looking good in an interview context. Now, let's talk about corporate events just for a short while. Remember, we said earlier on that for corporate events, you need to comply with the dress code, and if it isn't on the invitation, you need to inquire about it. So, for cocktail events, make sure that you're wearing something that is cocktail appropriate. And oftentimes, ladies, this means that yes, it might be a party frock, but remember that length is still important in a cocktail function. To be safe, if you're going to be wearing a dress or a skirt, if it's going to be above the knee, it should not be more than 4 fingers above the knee. Anything more than that, it might be considered too short. And remember, if you want to wear something long, you're more than welcome to go below the knee or even to the floor if it's appropriate. But make sure that if your dress is to the floor, you're not then going into a black tie gown context instead of a cocktail function. The gents have it easy. Oftentimes it means just not wearing a tie, and that means your cocktail function ready. Remember, guys, if it's a black tie, it actually means black tie. So don't go to a black tie event in a blue tie. It means you're either wearing a black bow tie or a very thin black tie with a suit. Ensure that before you rock up in a tuxedo that you've consulted that it's that kind of event where the expectation is to wear a tuxedo. But oftentimes a suit will do, and depending on the occasion, you get to keep your tie on or take your tie off. The last thing, which is perhaps not related to your dress code, is just a little bit around alcohol consumption at corporate events. Now, remember, corporate events generally will have a lot to eat as well as a lot to drink. And your personal brand has to be top of mind for you. So don't do anything that's going to compromise not only your personal brand, but compromise what people think of you going forward. This means that if you are going to be consuming any alcohol, you need to do this consciously and you need to do this sparingly. And also, the final rule, try not to be the last person who leaves the bar at 1 in the morning. Make sure that when the function ends or begins to come to an end, that you leave at an appropriate hour with everybody else. And this also helps you to manage the stories that will come the next day in the office about what happened at the corporate event. Let's keep the stories positive and let's keep them endorsing our personal brand.